Nintendo just won the not E3 season of 2024. June's Nintendo Direct was 45 minutes of gaming bliss. Every type of gamer that is out there got a few announcements, not just one, not just two. They got a handful of announcements that would go ahead and scratch their particular genre itch. There were, of course, some, big heavy-hitting Nintendo properties. Hell, every single big IP that you can think of, aside of you long-suffering F-Zero and Star Fox fans. Okay, they'll eventually come back around to that. But Metroid capping off the show finally after how long? There was somebody down here in the replies posting, well, thank God, yeah, my pre-order since 2018, because I remember Metroid Prime 4 or Metroid Prime, some kind of a sequel, right? Ending up being announced way back in the cut. I think that was probably the last time that they had a proper E3 conference. But that's how long this game's been in development, and the fact that it's, yes, being called beyond anybody's expectations that, yeah, we're finally going to have a continuation of the Metroid Prime saga, okay? Hell of a good announcement. The fact that it'll be coming out next year, well, you'd like to be able to just try to figure out exactly when next year so that you don't break any further hearts. But yeah, the big news on that one. Big news on that. And then, of course, one of the other big announcements is a brand new top-down Legend of Zelda game, where for the first times in over 30 years, and for the first time on a Nintendo platform. Don, what do you mean by that? Yeah, the last time that you could actually play as Princess Zelda herself was on the Philips CDI. Oh yeah, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom was announced, and I do believe that it's going to be releasing in relatively short fashion. And well, looking at the gameplay itself, top-down 2D, 3D style, okay, in the vein of A Link to the Past and the Four Swords Adventures, those types of games, right? Because there's a very distinct 2D to 3D style of Legend of Zelda games that are out there, but this one's going to be specific in the fact that, yeah, you have Princess Zelda as your main character. And as Grums has pointed out right here, it's so funny how wokies and cancel pigs are demanding we get mad at Zelda Echo of Wisdoms. Yeah, most gamers are super excited to play. Exactly, as somebody who has never completed a Zelda game in his entire life, and hell, never really knew how popular Zelda was until I started to really get into the online gaming space in the early 2000s, mostly because I didn't really like the N64 that much, and that was especially the time when 3D Zelda was starting to take off with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Like, I knew people who liked those games, they were just, they didn't really appeal to me. But since I filled in my gaps in knowledge, I've gone back and played the originals, Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, and I didn't finish them, but I thought they were fun, and I see the release for this, and it's like, yeah, no, it's in that vein. Looks very good, and the fact that you can take control of another person in that universe that has a Triforce, the Triforce of Wisdom, hence why it's called Echoes of Wisdom. I mean, totally makes sense. Like, Link's going to be stuck in a war against Ganon, and as is always the case with these games. And, well, yeah, okay, what's Zelda going to do about this? Hasn't been snatched up by Ganon yet. So it's free to help Link out and what he's doing over there. So, yeah, it makes sense to tell that story. But, yeah, no, people are supposed to be mad at this. You're supposed to hate this. The Nintendo has gone woke because you can play as Zelda. Like, no, man, that's just clearly not the case. And, yeah, people are rejoicing and celebrating this, because the Legend of Zelda IP takes certain entries for what they are. There's a title for everybody, a style for everyone, and they're generally all of high quality. But yeah, nobody's mad at this, okay? And anybody trying to tell you otherwise is blatantly trying to astroturf. So yeah, you had Metroid, you had Echoes of Wisdom announced, a new Mario Party announced, a Mario and Luigi game, and of course you have all the third-party stuff that was coming out, and holy crap, man, it was big news, okay? Yeah, you have Fantasian Neo Dimension. Now that name might not ring any bells for people, but that one right there, ooh, that's a big one for me, to be completely honest, because that means, okay, the first time in a long time, Square Enix, Nintendo, and Final Fantasy creator Hironobu Sakaguchi are finally back together on speaking terms and working together. You love to see it, okay? That's announced over there, okay? A bunch of other indie titles, okay? Hello Kitty game, which is huge in Japan, right? And yeah, the big multi-platform, but, you know, first announced over there was a Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3 HD 2D remakes, which, even as a big JRPG fan that I am, I've never played a Dragon Quest game, and, you know, hey, eventually, when those games get discounted, I might take a look. Nothing stopped me, but nothing's really intrigued me, but getting all of those quintessential RPGs on Nintendo platform on the Switch, where every single first-person Nintendo IP that has released an iteration of their franchise on that console, it has gone on to be the best-selling in the game's history. And then of certain other third-party franchises, the moment that they drop even a re-release, let alone a new entry, it goes on to follow the same trajectory. So much could end up being the same for Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3, given the fact that, yeah, Dragon Quest is more popular than Final Fantasy in Japan, or at least that was the case back in the cut. It's been a minute. But one of the biggest things that came out of this stuff that they just, I don't know if they wanted to just try to sneak this in or something like that, or didn't really anticipate how big of a deal this actually is, because this one right here, okay, the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, 6 of the biggest Marvel vs. Capcom fighting games, and of course, you know, the Punisher side-scrolling beat-em-up. All of it's going to have, you know, rollback net code, and this is a big reason, right? Because you can go back and you can emulate the rest of these games, but having a functional online setup, that's what makes these re-releases of fighting games so important. And the fact that getting the licensing from Marvel in 2024, this has been a big reason why the Marvel vs. Capcom fighting games have been stuck in limbo for so long. One of the greatest fighting games of all time, MVC2. And so many of the other games that are on that list, Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, you know, X-Men, Street Fighter, VC1, Superheroes. You can't buy them on modern hardware, at least until this collection comes around. And well, fighting game aficionados, which I seen this and it's like, this is a big deal, but the guys who are far more involved in this stuff, live and breathe this stuff, start the campaigns of free Marvel 2, finally just having this dropped on them. Well, this is, for as many times as you see these reactions online and they're staged, this one, I believe, is 1000% genuine. So shout out to Maximilian Dude on this one. It was great to see.
I don't believe there was tool and ground farming.
Take you for a ride.
What the fuck?
7 arcade games featuring Marvel and Capcom characters are fighting their way onto Nintendo Switch as one collection. Flash and X-Men versus Street Fighter.
What's up?
Yeah, he was so happy, man. It was so great. It's infectious to watch. Still, I've probably watched that like at least a dozen times. But yeah, being able to have, you know, a fully functional port of these tremendous games, that's huge news. That's really a culmination of about a decades-long journey, a bunch of hard work, raising awareness. It really just goes to show you when there's a passionate fan base that's out there, when gamers earnestly come together, they can accomplish great things. There's really nothing intrinsically toxic about being a gamer, okay? Really isn't, man. And what Nintendo delivered, okay? What Nintendo of Japan delivered, let's go ahead and get specific. On this Tuesday's Nintendo Direct is amazing, man. Didn't go over everything because, you know, 45 minutes of just rapid fire announcements to show you that the industry is healing, at least on the Eastern front, because over in the West, even with Nintendo, we got some problems, okay? Some problems, and with all of the energy surrounding the Nintendo conference, and then even still the Xbox One, which was definitely within this past month where you had everybody come together for the not E3 season. That's really, you know, just everybody's kind of at home. We'll just make our announcements for a lower budget so we don't have to rent stage time version of E3. Like, Xbox put out a really good conference as well. It was hit after hit after hit after hit, announcement after announcement, but you don't have to explain away any of the cringy Easter Island head women from Perfect Dark, Star Wars Outlaws, or whatever that abomination from Fable is. No cringe that needed to be whitewashed out of that one, and even still, off the back of the Xbox conference, there was nothing but excitement out of that. And then, of course, yes, the Nintendo one, still, days after, you can still see people hyped, which just shows you if the gaming industry, the AAA gaming industry, gets their shit together, people will come back. It's just really, really emphasizing that the Western gaming industry, that's kind of the problem. The East has it mostly figured out, okay? Just, your guys' Western affiliates are giving yourself a bad name. So, Nintendo of America manager James Wong describes gamers opposed to wokeness as angry bigots, previously encouraged racism against white people. Yeah, of course, you'd always anticipate this. James Wong, a content production systems manager at Nintendo of America, declared gamers rightfully oppose wokeness in video games as angry bigots. He previously called for and encouraged racism against white people. Wong's comments came in wake of ex-user, whatever, questioning the current crop of video games, asking, so, if it ain't DEI and corporate BS, why do modern games suck complete cheeks compared to the past? Are you defending the state to the industry? Ex-user and one of Alyssa Mercante, who we'll be talking about in the very near future. Her biggest Sims 2024 is stacked with amazing games, and Dawn Trail isn't out yet. Don't know what that is. Oh, and Shadow of the Erd Tree isn't out yet. Oh, and Astro Boy isn't out yet. Shut the up. I mean, you're gonna go ahead and, clip a bunch of Metacritic scores, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's nice and all, but how do you explain away all of the high-profile disasters that are too numerous to mention? Wong responded to the comment, writing, "It feels like all the angry bigots were better people before their con idols gave them terms that they should be mad about, when those terms are concepts that have been around forever." Like what exactly? You mean this thing I like from 2000 is woke? Always has been. Like what? Seriously, you don't provide any examples, but okay. Unsurprisingly, Wong is an adherent of identity politics and attempts to weaponize language to push the ideology. Back in December of 2020, he wrote, "Am I the only one who had a problem with the term PC master race because it feels like something a white person would say to make others feel inferior?" What? Oh my god, this is somebody that should have been, properly gate-kept from hobby. Much in the same way, computer terms master and slave don't live completely rent-free in my head. I know, weird. Wait, what? That post did absolute numbers right there, my guy. Holy. That also echoes some of the new terms of service from Unreal Engine 5, where they're trying to, force certain behaviors by removing problematic language, meaning anything that might affect the James Wongs of the world, when in reality, people just want to play games and they don't want to get preached to. Because you can also take a look at all of those conferences that came out recently, and well, even though there were a bunch of announcements from Nintendo, from Xbox, you take a look. It's a continuation of decades-old franchises. It's reboots, it's sequels, it's remakes, it's remasterings. Not a lot of innovation. And even with the stuff that has been hyper successful this year, your Tekken 8s, your Helldivers, what is that, 2, right? Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I mean, we're not exactly treading on new ground. This is a lot of tried, tested, and true franchises coming back, and you know what? People like it. It's just, there are certain people that aren't exactly happy that other people like it, because they like it for the gameplay, character, story aspects. Meanwhile, the other side of this equation likes it for the, well, I don't even know if they like gaming so much as they just don't like their own personal politics. But yeah, man, Nintendo in general, you had yourself a great conference, okay? The Japanese studios continue to knock it out of the park. People are very much looking forward to the releases that are coming out to your platform. Now, if you and some of your other compatriots over there could just iron out what's happening in the West, that'd be great for everybody involved. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.